Welcome back to another edition of our weekly webinar series. In today's episode, we are going to talk about loan standards 3 and 4. Have the customer test the merchandise to ensure it functions properly, and explain the 30-day contract and circle the due date and 1 month service charge. Properly testing merchandise serves as a dual purpose. It establishes ownership of the item, and it helps us make a good investment decision. But first, let's review our non-negotiable loan standards. It begins with greet every customer within 5 seconds. Use probing questions to qualify the customer. Have the customer test the merchandise to ensure it functions properly. Explain the 30-day contract and circle the due date and 1 month charge. If the customer wants to pick up their loan, politely attempt to extend the loan. On all redeems, thank the customer and offer more money the next time, and give them a loan guarantee card. We test our GM and jewelry items because we want to make sure that the merchandise is working properly. We test jewelry to make sure it's real and to establish the value of that piece, and it also helps us protect our investments. So why do we specifically ask team members to have the customer test their GM merchandise? We want to see the customer set it up and use it because it will help us determine ownership. We also want to see the functionality of the item because this will affect how much we invest in that item. For instance, a complete PlayStation 5 is worth more than a PlayStation 5 that has no power cord or controller. They're both worth something, it's just up to us to invest properly. By having the customer test the merchandise, it ensures that we don't damage their items during the testing process. This is especially important if the SLA is not familiar with the item being shown. When testing tablets, phones, and computers, passwords and PINs must be collected or removed from the items. Remember that Samsung, Google, and iCloud accounts should be removed. And make sure Apple's Find My Tablet, phone, or Mac is turned off. If a customer brings an item without a charger, check to see if we have extra chargers in our store so we can test the item. We also want to check the battery to ensure that it charges and holds a charge. Also, make sure to test the computer's keyboard to ensure all keys are working and not missing. And lastly, notice any cosmetic damage and make a note in the system. When testing TVs, game systems, and other electronics, make sure you have them plugged in and connected to a device. For instance, by connecting a device to a TV, you will be able to check the screen for any dead spots. Check the HDMI ports and inspect the overall display for game systems and other electronics. Make sure that all buttons on the controllers work and that the game systems read the disc. When testing power tools and other tools equipment, if the tool is corded, plug them into the outlet to see if they get power. Make sure there's no cuts on the cord, and if there's tape around the cord, ask the customer if they can remove the tape so you can inspect the cord. Test the tool when plugged into power to make sure that it's working correctly. If you are unsure how to use the item, ask the customer to show you exactly how it works. When testing jewelry, we want to be as thorough as possible and protect the integrity of our customer's piece. When acid testing a customer's merchandise, try to inflict as little damage as possible. With rings, do not test the very bottom of the shank. With chains or bracelets, test the chain or the bracelet, not the clasp. And for clasp rings, always look for the information stamped on the shank that provides the carat. Here are some clarifications on acid testing procedures. Make 3 side-by-side scratches on the testing stone. Select the acid strength designated by the stamp on the piece of jewelry. If there is no stamp, start with 18 and work your way down. Remember, the scratch must disappear completely to determine the strength. For silver, we use 18 karat acid. The scratch should turn blue and then milky white. In conclusion, testing merchandise protects our investment and keeps problem from arising if the item ever goes out for sale, thereby reducing returns. There are many different items that need to be tested. If you are unsure how to test an item, have the customer show you or ask your manager or a colleague for assistance. When we are explaining the contract to the customer, make sure that we circle the due date and the 30-day service charge, and let them know that the service charge is what they need to pay to keep the pawn from expiring. Also, let them know the amount to redeem the item is the amount borrowed plus the service charge. Then we set the customer up for success by offering them to download our app so they can make their payments on time. And now it's time for a quick recap. We went over our non-negotiable loan standards, focusing on loan standards 3 and 4. We discussed the importance of testing merchandise and protecting our investments. We went over some testing tips for general merchandise and jewelry. And we went over explaining the 30-day contract to the customer and offering La Familia app to our customers so they don't have to miss a payment never again. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out of their busy day to listen to another edition of our weekly webinar series. Now let's get out there and be the best in the world at executing our loan standards flawlessly. Have a great day and let's make some money.